Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's VinPF, and on today's episode, no review, I'm going to be going through my current collection of bottles. So I've got them all laid out on the floor here, and I'm going to very unprofessionally pick through them one by one take, all mistakes left in. Why not? Let's do it. I've also had a bit of a request to go through my sample shelves. I've got two up here. So I'm going to do that in a separate video because they've got a lot more samples than I have bottles, and it'll take me a little bit longer to go through them. So that'll be maybe next week, we'll see, but if you're interested in that, then don't forget to check that out when that's available. So let's get into these. To start with, I'm going to do all the bottles I've still got that I have already covered. So you can then see what I've already covered if you're new to the channel, and if you're interested in any of those, you can go back and look at them. And then I've got just a very small selection of bottles I haven't covered yet. I've mostly worked through my real bottles, and I've been doing a lot of sample reviews recently. But let's crack straight into it and see what stuff we've got. I'm going to get it all on the table. No sign today, not enough room for it. Let's go straight in. So these two here, Famous Grouse. Not a big fan, to be honest. This I've had since my wedding. I got it, it says Famous Vincent. I've got another bottle that I'm working through, but I did tip some Islay whiskey in there just to make it a little bit more my preference. But when that's gone, I will open this finally, and I'll work through it slowly. I sort of tend to have this as a bit of a palate wakener, let's say. So I only really have maybe a couple of drams of this a week, like maybe not even drams, like half sizes. Let's get them right up in the corner. Next up is a little trio. This was a little set I picked up from the Cotswolds distillery, and in here we have their new make spirit, their 20-month ex-red wine, and their 20-month ex-bourbon. Very good indicative, kind of like, yeah, 20 months, so it's not even 2 years, so it was a really good way of seeing how they were getting on. Of course, they've released their single malt now, so you can go and check out my very early video of these. I haven't got through this because what cause have I got to drink this, really? I really save this for people when they're interested in seeing how whiskey develops, and of course the new make is really good to show people. Most people don't get to try that unless they're at a distillery. Again, this isn't in any order whatsoever, so I'm not doing regions like I did last year. I'm just going to go with what I've got here. Wild Turkey Bourbon, this is the 81 as was. Very good, very good. I accidentally paid more than I should have done for that. I paid £23 for that in the UK, but I thought I was buying the 101. I just panic bought it on Amazon when I was out and about, and this turned up, and I'm a bit disappointed because I could have got the 101 for about the same price, so never mind, you live and learn, right? Highland Park Harold's. This is one of their travel retail from the Warrior series. I was a big fan of this. Quite expensive though, but you know, that's Highland Park all over, right? Oh, I should have done these first really, but never mind. These two bottles, you'll recognise both of these. This is the old Hague Club Clubman, but this is my Scotch Infinity bottle. Still very good like level, so I tend to keep it between here and here. I have done an Infinity bottle video, so do go and check that out. And this is my bourbon and American whiskey. I don't limit it to bourbon, so if I like an American whiskey and I don't think the flavour profile will fit that, then I put it in this. But I only put stuff in these bottles that I liked, so if I wasn't a huge fan of it, I'll just finish it or whatever, give it to a friend. These two, I'll do these next, why not? So my two Elijah Craig 12 years. The 12-year age statement has been moved now, it's actually on the back, so I picked up two bottles of this. I will drink both of these. This isn't for flipping, as they say, because what's the point? It's a 12-year-old whiskey and there is another one out. It's this small batch. So I'm keeping this sealed for now in case I finish this by the time I pick up a small batch. Because, you know, I mean, I could pick it up tomorrow, but I've got so much already, then, you know, I've got to be careful about space. Tesco's Speyside, nothing really to talk about there. It was okay. I got it fairly cheap. It was like £12.50. It was like half price deal, so well worth it. But go see my review if you're interested in that, but I'm not going to waste much time talking about that. I've just covered this one, a Knob Creek Bourbon. Big fan of this. Unfortunately, it just lost its age statement. Well, a couple of years ago, lost its age statement. Few people a bit up in arms about that still, but try it. It's a very good bourbon. I think it's still good value. Still good value. Cotswolds, talking about Cotswolds again. This is their inaugural release bottle. Still have a little bit left of that, and I don't know if you can see. I managed to get Dan Shaw to sign that for me. In fact, while we're talking about that, I'll get this because I've also got one more bottle of that kept. This is one of the first release, the inaugural release, one of 4,000 bottles. So I've got two of those. Excellent, I'll push that up there. Keep going on this stuff here. This is the Jim Beam Double Oak. Interesting whiskey, fairly cheap in the UK, even cheaper in the US. Why not? It's alright. Now this stuff, I haven't talked about this for ages. The TX blended whiskey. They don't make this spirit themselves. They blend it from other spirits around and abouts. But it's really, really nice. Supreme vanilla notes on it. They also did a bourbon. Both of those videos I've done already. I've still got this, and I've only literally just opened it because although it's cheap whiskey, it's completely unavailable in the UK. So I saved it until I really fancied it, and I did the other day. So I'm gonna nurse this. I'm gonna treat it like a special bottle because for me, it is. McMurra Brooks Whiskey. This is their standard opener core range. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Very, very cheap. But well, for what it is, cheap. It's 30 quid. It's not that cheap really. But considering it's made in Sweden, they're not making much whiskey at the moment. McMurra and a couple of others really is all there is. But very well made. Very well made indeed. Not everyone's cup of tea. This is very light. If you're into your light scotches, then it's up there. But if you like something with a bit more punch, then you won't like that. Talking of Scandinavian stuff, this is their Norwegian whiskey. Very, very nearly finished with that. Hopefully I'm going to pick up some more from them. A couple of their distilleries closed down before they even really started. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the Aurora distillery, not these guys, do next. But, you know, any chance I get, I'll pick those up. Japanese whiskey. I think this is the only bottle of Japanese whiskey I've got right now, which is the Cheetah Grain Whiskey. This kind of divides the field a little bit. £30, I quite liked it, but it's not for everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people aren't into their grain. Some people thought it was more expensive than it should have been. Whatever, I quite liked it. Talking of things that people thought were more expensive than they should have been, that was the Bemore Vault Edition first release. I loved this thing. It's brilliant. It's got this really amazing finish of it. And they say kumquats on the back, and sure, I've never tried a kumquat, so I don't know, but it's got this really like juicy, fruity flavour on the back end that's just sublime. 80 quid though, so it's not cheap, but I think worth a punt. Okay, back down to the cheap end of the spectrum now. Tomatin Legacy, or Dualcus if you're watching in North America. This stuff here, I tried this as part of a blind tasting with Roy. I was one of the first to do Roy's blind challenge, and the nose on this thing blew me away. I'm going to have a little sniff now actually, why not? Oh, there's just so much going on in the nose. It's like fresh apples. That it doesn't quite translate to the palate, unfortunately, but you know, it's about 20 to 25 pound a bottle. No age statement, sure, but really quite tasty. I think I'm going to run out of room on here. I didn't run out of room last year, so maybe I've got a few more bottles. We'll have to move some stuff around. Moving on then, Highland Park Volknut. Bit of a controversial one. It is expensive, 60 odd quid, but I really liked it. Again, I will reiterate my irritants at the fact that even though I'm holding this up against a bright light, I still can't see through the damn bottle. So I can't see how much I've got left in it. But one day it will just run out and I'll be gutted. But it was a pretty good buy. I didn't buy the Valkyrie, but I'll buy the next one, which I think is called Valfather or something like that. Let's notch that in there. Precarious. Peated stuff. Compass Box Peat Monster. First bottle of Compass Box I think I've owned. Actually, I tell a lie. I did own the Glasgow Artist Blend or whatever it's called. I've forgotten what it's called now. Great King Street Artist Blend. That was it. So yeah, pick this up, but it's just really good, really good. And you see my review of this, and I've covered this with a couple of times with other people as well. And everybody I know who is into peat loves this thing. Quite cheap, but you know, good whiskey. Good whiskey. Right, I suppose we better talk about this. The White Walker, I'm grateful to it because it's been by far my best video so far to date. At time of recording, something like 85,000 views, and my next nearest one was like 16,000 views. Utterly insane, but it's terrible, terrible whiskey, really. I mean, sure, drinkable, but when you're talking about whiskey, we're talking about a luxury product. We're not talking about the basic supermarket blends. Yeah, sure, it's not going to kill you if you drink it, but we're talking about things that you can sit there and sup and enjoy, not stuff that you can just waste your money on. And unfortunately, I think this is one of those things. If you bought a bottle of this, sure, there was something like 1.5 million bottles of this sold. So don't hoard it, because honestly, it really isn't going to be worth any money. You're going to have to make sure that 1,499,000 other people drink their bottle before yours is really worth anything serious. But unfortunately, it doesn't even taste that nice, so it's hard to drink. I'm giving my sample away to my closest friends, poor people. Balblair 99, still fighting its corner. I am going to have to finish this soon, because if it gets any lower, then it's going to start tasting like naff. But absolutely stunning whiskey, and it was my first bottle of Balblair, to be fair. Tried a few of their range before, but I don't think I've ever had a bad one. I'm sure I had this conversation with somebody recently, and they said they had a bad one, but never mind. Laphroaig Select gets a bit of a bad rap. It isn't really for Laphroaig fans. That's the long and short of this. It's the opener of their core range. It is very dialed down Laphroaig. It is very peaty as well, but it isn't so much in your face as normal Laphroaigs. So it's kind of sitting the fence a little bit. You know, it's Laphroaig fans, die-hard fans, aren't going to like it that much, because it's not that much cheaper than the 10. And in fact, I think some people are telling me it's more expensive in their country, which is insane. But really, this is catering for bridging the gap between people who don't like peat and the 10. I found it quite palatable. If you get it for a good price, I'd say go ahead. But if it's more expensive than the 10, you'd be insane to prefer that, I guess. Maybe not prefer it, that's the wrong way, but to choose it. Last couple, Glenmorangie Atlanta. This has been in my collection for years now, and I'm probably going to end up ruining it if I don't finish it. But it was so expensive. My most expensive bottle to date. That I'm struggling to reach for it. I'm just going to have to finish it off one day. Maybe if there's a special occasion comes around. Maybe if I hit 10,000 subscribers in the near future, we'll see. Finally, there you go, there's my first mistake of the day. Hopefully you've been able to hear me. Highland Park 21. Only just covered this on the channel, but I've had it in my collection for a while now. But as you might have seen as well, was my Whiskey of the Year this year. Absolutely stunning. Will be missed. That box is wrecked, I've just noticed as well. That's probably why I got it so cheap. But never mind. I wouldn't have sold it on anyway. Right, so I'm going to struggle for space a little bit here, but I'm going to try and... I'll put some stuff up and maybe put it back down again. Try not to touch that too much. Sorry about that. Right, this is all stuff I haven't covered yet. There isn't as many bottles. This is just my drinking collection. This is the stuff that you'll be seeing in the next few months. And then if you're interested in the next year, then the sample collection next week will be the one you want to check out. But let's reach down and see what we got. Kingsbarn Spirit Drink. Now, I've had this for a while now, but I've been reluctant to cover it on the channel because it seems pretty pointless to cover a new make on its own. But the Kingsbarns should have released Spirit by now, and I think they've only released it to their Founders Club. So when I get some, I'll probably compare it with this rather than do a full-blown review of it. I'm sure you won't mind. It's not got any chance of going off or anything like that. 63%. What a monster. This is, again, I've been reluctant to cover it. This is Marks and Spencer's bottling of the English whiskey. So it's just a special one they put together, but it's, you know, you're not going to be able to get this anywhere, so it seems kind of irrelevant for me to cover it. But maybe one day, if I'm stuck for a video, I'll do it. Tormor 14. I picked this up in France. It's a French exclusive, so you might not have seen this around, not this age statement anyway. Pretty good. I'm not going to go into these ones because, like I said, I need to do videos on them. We'll get that covered when we cover them. This is one of my only other sealed bottles. Woodford Reserve, but I only got it sealed because I've got one open already. What's the point of having two open? I did think about doing a review of this in comparison to this one because we've got two different batch numbers here. But, I don't know, maybe, we'll see. If you want to see that, then let me know. Oh, I'm definitely not going to have enough room. Come on, some fresh pickups. I've opened these all. We've got the Jim Beam Rye pre-prohibition style. Easy for you to say. It's alright, it's alright. This year I'm going to be getting into my ryes. I'm not a big fan of ryes generally, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try my hardest. The Bullet Rye. You probably noticed this funky little cork in here. When I opened this, the cork was wrecked. It shredded. It didn't break, but I didn't want to put it back in the bottle, so I'll keep all my corks, and you should too for this exact reason. And this was saved by, I don't know if you can even see that. No, getting washed out. This is a Glenmorangie cork off my 10, my original 10. So thanks to Glenmorangie for saving my Bullet Rye. I bet when they put that cork in there, they didn't think it'd end up in that. Going back to the Cotswolds, this is the World Whiskey Forum 2018 bottling. Now, I've got this in the box still because I don't really want to open it, to be honest. It is number 207 of 250, so there's only 250 bottles of this, and it's already starting to go up in value, but I do have a sample of it, which was given to me by a friend, so I'm probably going to review the sample and keep this, because I'm pretty sure it's their first release of their exclusive ex-bourbon barrel, so I don't think it's going to be as good as their core release, but that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. I'm going to put this down here because I'm running out of room. No, I'm going to put it here. Decision making on the fly. Now this is something I never thought I would cover. This is the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. I picked this up very recently in a supermarket because it was £25, which is half price in the UK. Utter bargain. And it's already gone down quite a lot. I quite like it. More bourbons, more bourbons. Very old Barton, 6-year-old. Picked this up for an absolute steal. It was like 30 quid. Probably a lot cheaper in America, but it's for a bottled in bond, it's pretty good value. Hopefully you heard me say that. I'm going to lean these. No, I'm not going to lean them on the computer. That's a terrible idea. The Kilchoman Macchia Bay. Covered a few of these. Was very impressed. So I saw this cut price again in Marks and Spencer, so I thought I'd pick it up. Why not? Now this thing, I've added it back into my to review line. I took it out because it's been discontinued. The Jura Origin 10-year-old. Been discontinued and replaced by an actual 10-year-old. But I put it back in my to review pile because I'm going to compare it with the new one. I don't really like this, spoiler alert, but I haven't tried the new one yet. So I'm going to compare it with that and see what we get. This mic is really not playing ball today. Last couple. Can't believe I haven't covered this yet. I've done a couple of Johnny Walkers already. This is the Black Label 12-year, not the double black. I've done the red and the blue, so I've done the bookends. Time to get into the middle of it all, I think, because I actually quite like this. For the price of it, it's not bad. This one, very recent pickup. It's open as well. I'll prove it. I'll prove it, because I don't like to keep sealed bottles unless there's a reason. Balvenie Triple Cask 16-year. Quite expensive, I think, but I got it for Christmas from my brother-in-law and his partner. So hopefully that's going to be a good one. And this is the last one. The Bamor 10-year-old. This is another travel retail exclusive. I'll show you this because what I tend to do when I get a new bottle, I open it, I try it a couple of times to see what I think of it, and then I put it in my to review queue, and then I do my research on it. But this one has been tapped into just a little bit too much. So that might tell you everything you need to know about this one. Tasty, very tasty. Well, there you go. That's my bottle collection. It's not as vast as some people's for sure, but I don't tend to keep stuff. I'm not a collector, I'm a drinker. So I get it in, I get it out. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately for me, but not unfortunately for you guys, I don't tend to buy bottles twice much anymore because I'm always looking for more content-worthy drams. So if I'm buying, I'm trying to buy things that I've never tried before or never covered before. So that's why it kind of changes a lot for me. I don't really have any of these kind of go-to whiskies that we've been seeing recently. But it's just one of those things. But that's my entire bottle collection right now. Next video coming up will be my samples, which I'm going to try and get out for you for next week. We'll see how we get on with that. But if there's any of these things that you want to see me do quicker than, say, something else, then let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do to get it up the list. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again on more videos.